Enlisted. I was a WAC. I was a member of the Women's Army Corps when I first came on board. The Women's Army Corps is what was originally known as the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps. We were not a part of the Army. We were a separate entity that ran alongside the Army, and we were filled with a lot of typists and people that did maintenance and other things that the military needed, that they felt women would be able to help them while the men were able to go into the combat zones and fight the war. It was either sometime in 1977 or 1978 they dissolved the Women's Army Corps, and we had a special ceremony where we took off our Pallas Athene emblems and put on the emblems of the branch that we served under. And I was in the veterinary service corps at the time as an enlisted veterinary technician, animal care specialist, and so I pinned on the emblem.
It is just, there's certain jobs that certain supervisors won't give you just because you're a female. They think, oh, you can't do it. And it's not always just a physical duty. They might tell you, oh, you can't go on this trip because there's too much involved that you wouldn't understand. It's like, what do you mean I won't understand? Just because I'm a girl? And you're like, well, it's something that a guy would be able to do better. So that's the only issue I've ever encountered. But I mean, for the most part, I do pretty well at proving my point that I can stand up with the rest of them, and I do fairly well.
Again, for myself, being a woman and a smaller woman, most of the time it's viewed that you can't possibly do that job, or in the normal arena I'm wearing a business suit and high heels, so it's that factor that, oh, she's just too prissy to do that. So it makes it difficult.
Or working in a warehouse, like I said, you have to lift 60-something pound boxes, sometimes, and driving a forklift. Some men look at you and they're just like, oh, you don't know how to do this. Or driving, a wretch and, even more bigger vehicles, going on clips, being deployed to Iraq, they think that you can't do half the stuff that they could do.
You show them with your actions. And I won't ask you to do anything that I will not, cannot, or have not done, or not willing to learn to do.
I was told you will change the tire on this forklift with no help. You will use this TM and you will change this tire. And I did it, and I felt so accomplished when I did it.
Just for people to realize that that people have more skill sets than it may look on the outside. I mean, people tend to judge one another just by the outside look, because they're female, because they're a male, and I don't think it's right, because some people might have a lot hidden that you just can't tell. Just because you're a girl doesn't mean you can't do just as much as the guy can, and vice versa.
As I look back over the years, I've seen amazing steps forward in how women are treated in the military. The differences are hard to see from here anymore because they've been such drastic changes, and I know that there are probably miles to go before we're completely not able to see the differences that we still see on occasion. But we are fighting in combat in many ways. I mean, those transportation soldiers that drove all the vehicles across Iraq weren't all men, and when they were stopped and had to fight, they were there right alongside each other, and they had to trust each other. And I think that you would probably find that going and talking to the men and women that were in those situations, that they would trust those people again in the future because of what they've been through in almost every case.
to prove that we are capable. It is up to us to take it that much further. I'm reminded of that regularly, but I'm also inspired by it because it allows me the opportunity to, just continue to do it, to soar. It allows me to just take it that much further. And we have a generation coming behind us that we owe to them to allow them to take it that much further than us. So it's an ongoing process.
To be a part of something to where women have had to actually fight and to go through struggles to be a part of, and just to know that I'm offered that off a voluntary basis and I could do it without having to fight, it brings great satisfaction to me.
Stay focused, and do not second guess what you know, and to stay true to yourself.
Dream large. Dream very, very large. I never thought that I would be an officer. That wasn't even in my thought processes at the time. And even years later, when I was a junior NCO and someone would ask me, do you think you'll ever be a major or greater? It was like, no, not. No, I won't ever be that. And then one day they offered a test, and I took the test and I scored well, and my command said, hey, we want you to go represent us in OCS. So off I went.